interrupt your program to bring you this important podcast. How to 911.
Can you put me out of service on a podcast, please?
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Erica.
Perfect. We're here today to talk to you about things that are important, as always.
That's right.
Because that's what we're here for. The topic today is breaking down jurisdiction and how it can affect your call when you call into 911, basically. Especially in a suburban area. Is that what we decided?
I think so, yes.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'm going to sound like an idiot.
Nope.
Especially in like a suburban area where we're so close to other agencies and cities. You might not think that we're very close to Fort Collins, but our jurisdictions technically are very close together. Obviously, we share jurisdictions with Larimer County,
Weld County.
Super
close to Johnstown.
We have
Windsor.
Berthoud. So there's a lot of different areas, and we're going to go right into this.
Perfect.
I'm already going off to a great start of having to edit out my The amount of times that I say is disgusting. You need to check me on that.
Okay.
Too.
I'm actually gonna use a pencil now.
Okay, yeah. Did the pen explode on you as well?
I was worried it's gonna I'm thinking. I'm like,
Oh, goodness. Okay. So, the first thing that I do want to say is that we are all in this magical room in, I don't know, New York City. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Yeah, we're all...
Perfect.
That's where we're recording from
Yep.
right now. We're actually in New York City, where all of the other hundreds of dispatchers are for the whole country. And that's what we do. We just sit in a room and dispatch for the whole country, you know? That sounds about right.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
it. That's
Yeah,
all we need to know.
That's all you need to know. I'm just kidding. We are definitely not in that magical room in who knows where. That just doesn't make sense, especially when you think of a whole country, like, needing 911 services, like, having that many people, or even, like, if you do, like, Midwest dispatch and South dispatch and, like, you know, try to divide it into, like, areas like that. It just doesn't work with large quantities like that, I feel like. Even, like, walking into Denver in 911, I was like, I don't know how they work with this many people. There's probably, like, 40 people there in a center. I don't know, I didn't count. That's my best estimate. But, when you call into 911 and you're within our jurisdiction, which we'll talk about later, you will reach a person that is actually dispatching from Loveland, Colorado. So we dispatch and work and, I was going to say live, but that's not true. I mean, we essentially live here.
It's 40 hours a week.
Right. We're very familiar with Loveland because we're here, we work here, we do things here.
No, you're not. You're doing it. I would like to say
Go ahead.
that when you
Please.
say you call in to 911 and you reach us, if you're in our jurisdiction, that is based on, if you're calling from a cell phone, the towers that your cell phone is hitting off of. So if you've ever seen those weird-looking things with they're the towers. That's what they're called, the weird-looking things with towers. Our towers. And they have these, like, big blocks on them. Those blocks tell your cell phone where you're going to reach or what agency you're going to reach. So depending on where you are on Highway 34, you might reach Weld County or you might reach us. But there's a lot of research and testing that goes into where to place those block thingies and testing to make sure that when, like, Verizon will test and make sure that the cell phones will reach us based on how they position them. So it's that, and then we've already talked about landlines, and those are the best things.
Right, because
We for sure know where you are on landlines.
it's already built in once
Yep.
they plug it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's actually pretty cool that they do that, and that they check up on that stuff and they fix that stuff, because otherwise you could be routed to God knows where. Because technology is crazy. But good point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's like I said, there's centers literally all over the place. Like Fort Collins has their own. Larimer County, do they just have one center?
Larimer County?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we have 5 in Larimer County.
thank you.
Yes. CSU has their own for the campus. Estes Park, Larimer County Sheriff for the whole county, and then Fort Collins and us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, there's call centers all over the place, all over the state. For those reasons, that first of all, it's just, I feel like, better to have a center in the place in which you're dispatching for, so that you're familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of more aware of what's going on, like road closures, just like, I don't know, things you need to keep up to date with.
Yes, I will tell people that I'm training. I will go out and drive around and see the new buildings being constructed or the new business that was put in the old business, because it's not a very popular spot, so that you know it's a new one all the time. So we're lucky because we can become familiar with the city very easily.
And can you imagine how like disastrous it would be if you called 911? You're just like, I'm at the old A&W place, and the people are in New York City, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So you get somebody who is here in Loveland, and they're gonna be like, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about,
is that
because I used to go there all the
Mhm.
time. Yeah, I've never been there, but I've heard about it. Wait, is that an actual place?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank God. It's like, I feel like everyone's talked about this, and I'm gonna look like an idiot if it's not true.
And it was old A&W, and then it was a restaurant called Fatso's, and then they had a fire.
Yes, it's on Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, like near that West Starbucks off tap.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Pass
See?
the test.
Know your
Woo.
jurisdiction, even though you're not from here.
Perfect.
Woo.
Okay. And then, so, as we were saying, like, Denver has a larger dispatch center than we do. For obvious reasons, it's Denver. And it's just, they have different needs than we do for obvious reasons. So, like, if you take, like, Alaska compared to Denver, their center is going to be so much different than Denver's. Like, it's a rural?
Rural, yeah.
Rural. It's a rural. Oh my God.
Just say it real fast.
Say it for me.
Rural.
Okay. So Alaska is a rural area, and then Denver is a super urban area.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have way different needs, and I guarantee you, a completely different format that I would walk in. I'd probably be so bamboozled, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's probably crazy up there. Alaska, if you're listening, hit us up. Let us know what your centers look like.
We want to know.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, I could call you, but I'm not going to.
We're
I've got a
not.
podcast to work. And along that line, not all dispatch centers dispatch for police, fire, and ambulance. I was going to say EMS, but then I was like, nah, and then I was like medical, and I was like, nah, and then the ambulance, like, yeah, ambulance is the
That's
one I want to
good.
go with. Like, we do all three here, which is very nice so that we can talk to each other, like we said in previous episodes. No, we've got 2 now.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice to be able to work with our partners because we all know what's going on, and it's such a small city, like being able to talk to each other. Let me say it in 3 different ways. But like Alaska, I don't know why I'm using Alaska. I don't know nothing about them.
We're going to have to visit Alaska sometime.
I know. Road trip up to Alaska.
Yes.
It's for podcast purposes.
Yes.
Can we put that as a business trip?
Yes.
Hey, Becky, are you listening? So, where was I going with this? Oh, so my last center before I worked there, they were a separated center. So they had the county and city police were separated, as well as the fire EMS. So it was 3 different dispatch centers, if you will, and then they combined a few years before I joined, and so they were like super confused how to like work together, and it was like they would have to call each other if like police like needed a medical. They'd have to call the other center and say, hey, can I get an ambulance for this, which is so weird because they were all within such a small area. So that makes no sense to me, but centers do that because smaller jurisdictions might not be able to support a larger quote-unquote combined center like that. Does that make sense?
To me, yes.
Okay. if it doesn't make sense to you guys, please let us know.
Definitely. I will mention that we're considered a multidisciplined agency. So we have, like you said, the 3 disciplines, and then other jurisdictions near us are called combined centers, like yours was, and that's our neighboring county, Weld County. They have all of their dispatchers will answer 911s for the whole county and dispatch like you did for all their fire departments, all their EMS agencies, and then we also have 2 places in Colorado that I can think of off the top of my head called ADCOM, Adams Communications, and Jeffco Communications, and they are, I think Jeffco is very recently put together.
Yeah, they are. When I went to my EMD training, I went to training with a few of them.
Oh.
And I think that was like a year or so ago, and they were talking about how it was like weird to be combined. Yeah, that's crazy to think that, especially Weld, because they're the largest county, for them to dispatch for the whole county like that. That's gross.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Weld.
I think it's like I try and have a mental picture of the city, like when someone calls in, you know?
Yeah.
So for them to have a mental picture of their whole county, like, do you have a whole picture?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I mean, when I worked in my last agency, we dispatched for the whole county, which was, I mean, it wasn't as large as Weld County by any means, but when people called in, I 100% did not have a picture of the whole county. It was just the main city that we dispatched for. And then when people would be like, oh, I'm out far north in Laramie, I'm not going to say what county, even though I just said half of it.
We don't know.
There's so many counties that start with what I just said, it's weird. We're so close together.
So close.
But, crack myself up.
Edit this out.
Oh, I don't know how I'm going to edit that out successfully because I just kept spewing things after more. It's fine. Everyone will figure out my life story eventually.
That's
anyways.
right. Just Google you and find out where you worked.
Yeah, they'd be like, I'm in the northern part of this county, and I'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about because we rarely got calls out there because it was Wyoming. Like, things are very uninhabited in that area.
Or
and when they
rural.
Yeah. Much better verb. That's not a verb. Much better noun.
Gator.
I hate myself.
You're doing so good.
Wow, this is so cool. I woke up really early yesterday for the meeting.
Darn. So you're working on, like, being up for
A long time. Anyways.
Great.
It's great.
Okay. Jurisdiction or combined centers.
Yeah, not in the same room. If separate, that doesn't make any sense, but I talked about it, sure. So that, when you call in, that can be really confusing for you as the caller to be like, my mail address states 1234 Street in Loveland, Colorado. Cauliflower. But I put that address into my cool computer system, and it tells me that you're actually technically the county's jurisdiction. So that it just can be kind of confusing sometimes if you're mailed address or if you're driving somewhere and you're trying to figure out where. Does that make sense? I don't know what I'm saying. You already talked about this. So if you're driving somewhere and you see like a careless driver and you want to report it, call 911. Definitely do if you think that they're driving in a way that it's going to harm themselves or other people around them. But especially in such a suburban area, it can be a little tricky with jurisdictions because you could be going north on 287, just passing, I don't know, like the North Walmart there, but there's like this brief spot, or I mean more north than Walmart, but there's, in that northern area, there's like just a little gap of Larimer County after you get out of our jurisdiction, and then you go straight to Fort Collins. It's really, I don't know, how long would you say? Like it's about a couple miles, like a mile or two? And there's not a street sign, there's not a street post, there's no intersections there. So if you're going north, I know you're not going to stop anywhere else. I know you're not going to turn off anywhere else. There's nothing else to do. You're just going to keep going north of Fort Collins. So I'm going to transfer you to Fort Collins because that's where you're going to be. Like I can't send my officers out of Loveland into Fort Collins, hoping that they can find where this person is, and that's an area that they don't know. Somehow they know Loveland like the back of their hand, we hope. But we're assuming, but it can be a little frustrating for you to give us all this information, and then especially for traffic complaints, because I understand that you're driving, you're in a stressful situation, you want to give us all the information and that's it. But if you give us, like we said in our first episode, you give us all the information and then you tell us that you're reaching out of our jurisdiction, I'm going to have to transfer you, and then you're going to have to tell all this information to another dispatcher, and that's frustrating. So we need to know exactly where you are, what direction you're going, so that we know if you are going to be our responsibility or not, essentially. And Fort Collins is just a good example because they're so close to us. And there's weird pockets in the city that, looking at a map, makes no sense to me, but there's just random like pockets of county everywhere. And so you could be in one of those random pockets, and it just is weird like that.
Yeah, and you don't know you're in that weird random pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like at your friend's house and they're having a fight with whoever and you need police. I'm not going to be your police, but you might know that Loveland police officers are around you. Like you saw one down the street earlier. You know that we're close by. You know that you're in the city of Loveland, but you just so happen to be in Larimer County's jurisdiction, so I have to transfer you.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, that's how it is.
Yeah.
And if you want to make changes about that, I don't know, contact the city. They do annexing.
City council, yeah.
Yep, city council.
Start there.
Start right there.
Yep.
Don't talk to us. We have nothing to do with it.
Unfortunately.
Believe me, we'd make a lot of changes.
Going back to traffic complaints and dialing 911 is good if you're not sure where you are or anything like that, but don't forget that State Patrol has, is it star 277?
That sounds pretty good.
We'll confirm that here in a second.
Yeah.
But you can call them and give them the information. The bummer with that is if you're not on the interstate where State Patrol patrols,
mainly patrol,
handles as the traffic area, they call us for it. So if you're in the middle of town, you're at Eisenhower and Taft, and you do star 277 for a drunk driver, they'll get the information and then call us. So if you know where you are, which you should,
as we talked about in the first episode,
and you think that it'd be quicker to get to us by dialing 911, certainly that is fine, so we can get the information right away.
Right. I mean, I've even had someone call on the phone on 911. They're like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't remember the 3-digit number for me to call, and she happened to be in our, like, in the city of Loveland, in our jurisdiction. So I was like, oh no, this is totally fine, you're totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you are on the interstate and you see a drunk driver, don't forget that that's also a resource for you to use, because if you call 911, most likely you're not going to get put through to State Patrol. Does State Patrol have a 911?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought, because
Yeah,
they would be bounced off into a different PSAP.
And I think that's why that star 277 is
for them.
Yeah.
It's like their 911. But not.
Because they're just
for like report drunk drivers and stuff. But yeah, we'd be more than happy to transfer you if you can't remember that number, but always remember that it is a resource. Are you still looking it up?
Yeah, because I don't know how to Google things apparently.
Okay, well we'll get back to that if Erica decides to learn how to use her phone.
It's star 277. Oh, it's star CSP.
That's cool.
Oh man,
look at that. Yeah. So if you can't remember, just put star and then dial, like how back in the day we had to do the click click click, just CSP. Yeah. So back on the line of vehicle incidents, because this is just the easiest examples I can think of for things like this. Motor vehicle accidents of any type, that's where things get super tricky. So as we said before, we dispatch ambulance and fire for the southern half of Larimer County, and but if you're outside the city of Loveland, we're not going to be your police. So if you have a car accident in anywhere else of Larimer County that's not in Loveland, it's anyways, we're gonna send you the ambulance, we're gonna send you the fire truck, but we have to notify your correct police agency, because obviously a police report has to be made. So that's also why if you call in, say you're like the third caller, you don't know that you're the third caller, but if we're already handling the medical side of it, we're going to transfer you to your police agency. You can update them with information that the police need to know, because we're going to update based off the medical information that they need to know. So just remember that. You're going to probably maybe confused and say, like, I'm at this place, like, I should be transferred to whatever police agency.
Good example is Highway 60 and Larimer County Road 7.
I hate that.
It's a very dangerous intersection recently because of the construction going on the interstate. So you feel like you're in Loveland because you came from Loveland. You're right on the border of Larimer County, Weld County. So since it's not in the city limits, you're getting to State Patrol for police jurisdiction or for police response. And that does lead to confusion sometimes. Like, no, I don't need them to come out here. I'm in Loveland. Yes, but...
But you're not within our jurisdiction in which we can physically assist you within their jurisdictional boundaries. Because we have to follow those.
Yes.
They're set there for a reason.
Yes.
And there are policies that police have to follow about those jurisdictions for a reason. Don't ask me what they are. I just follow the policies. If you have questions, please let us know, and I can figure it out. Because I'm sure I have questions. I just kind of push it to the back of my head. I'm like, well, this is what I do. And then for Berthoud, they don't have a police department anymore, so Larimer County dispatches for them for the police. No. Yes, that's true.
Yes.
I was like, wait, no.
Yeah, they have deputies whose that's their
so
area.
We'll get you over to them if you have an accident.
But also, please drive safely.
Yes, please. Always drive safely. And also, let me just say this, because this is going to be coming out eventually. It's going to be summertime here soon. It's going to be warmer. There's going to be motorcyclists out. There's going to be a lot more people out on the road. People are going to be in rushes, like, to go to summer vacations or go to the lake or, whatever. Just take those extra 2 seconds to look again and make sure that you didn't miss that car and you didn't miss that motorcycle. You didn't miss that pedestrian. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to say.
I miss them that they were walking. Yeah,
I was like, wait a second, am I saying this wrong?
I want you to miss them, but I also want you to see them.
Yes, exactly. So just pay attention. Make sure that you're looking.
Yes. And
being fully aware of what's going on around you, because we've already taken some not so fun vehicle-related incidents lately. So.
Good disclaimer.
Keep that in mind.
Yes.
Also, because of those, wait, hold on. I
just keep jumping ahead.
I am jumping ahead. No, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay,
because it makes sense.
All right.
So, going back to those pockets, the weird jurisdictional areas, and you can get us for medical and you can get another agency for police. Just be patient with us, because there's times where, like, I want to take those 2 seconds and make sure that I'm sending you to the correct agency before it comes back to me and it's like it was actually our jurisdiction for medical, because that's where things get a little tricky, is the medical area, because there's some places we do, some places we don't. And, like, I wish I could show you our map and explain it to you, because it's really tricky sometimes. Like, is this ours? Is this Weld's? Is it not? Because there's a part in Weld County that we dispatch for Berthoud Fire, and it's so tricky to remember where those areas are when you actually get calls coming in. So right? Okay, is that what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm so glad Erica's here to keep me in check. I love it. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you're not in Loveland and you have an emergency situation, please just give us a call on the non-emergent number,
which is
970-667-2151.
Great job.
I finally learned it, guys. But until it's an emergency, like we said before, if we try to put you on hold, say, no, my daughter just got into a car accident. She barely had time to text me, like, this is where I think she is. Or any situation. It happens all the time. Unfortunately, please tell your friends and loved ones that if they get into a situation that, yes, eventually family will be notified if something happened to them, but it'd be best if they're texting you and telling you what's going on, they need to call us, because we're going to be the ones that's going to help them the fastest, and they're going to give us the best information of what's going on, where they are. If they're texting you and then something happens and you go unconscious, we might not be able to find them because you don't know where they are. So please tell your loved ones if anything happens. Don't tell you, tell 911.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Perfect. Also, I want to talk about how some agencies will not transfer phone calls. I know my last agency, we had a policy in which we did not transfer phone calls because especially with surrounding agencies around us, they weren't always certified in things that we were, such as like life-saving instructions when it came to medical calls. So we didn't want to take the liability of transferring them to a PSAP in which they did not give those life-saving instructions, or they weren't certified to. And something happened to that caller because we transferred them to someone who couldn't assist them in the best way. Does that make sense? Should I edit? That's my new Does that make sense?
Does it make sense?
Jeez.
Got rid of but...
Yeah, so here, I just want to reassure everybody that in Larimer County, we are all certified for those life-saving instructions. So if we do transfer you to Fort Collins for a medical call, they will be able to assist you the same way that we would be able to assist you. They will be able to guide you through those CPR instructions. They will be able to help you through somebody who's choking. So, and so is Weld County. So I'm pretty sure all of Northern Colorado. Don't quote me on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, Longmont and Boulder do too, so I mean, like, all of our surrounding agencies, I'm pretty sure do.
Yeah.
And if it's not what the protocol we use, it's another protocol.
Right.
Like, there's a protocol being used.
Yeah, so we're pretty progressive in that sense, in which that we're really good at saving lives.
That is true.
We do have a policy in which, though, if somebody is in, like, cardiac arrest and they come into our PSAP, we are not going to transfer them because we just need to get help. So that's where our partners will assist us and get the correct agency going. Because hands on chest is so important in the amount of time. Like, what is it? Your chances go up 10% or something like that, or go down 10% every time. Every time you die.
So second time you die, it's gonna be really bad,
super bad.
Yes, but hands on for any cardiac event is very important.
Right.
And may I say, I don't know if we had explained what a PSAP is.
Oh, probably not, because I've been using it 600 times.
And that's a public safety answering point or a call center, essentially. So another term that people are trying to use is emergency call center, so an ECC. So it doesn't confuse the public or people who aren't in the industry. Either way, it's an acronym, and you don't know what it is until someone uses it, which we just did. But it just means that we are answering 911s.
Yeah.
And you can be a primary PSAP, like we are, where 911's ring into us, or a secondary PSAP, which would be, I believe, like Colorado State Patrol, where I could be getting this wrong, so you can totally, does this just make sense? I'll also edit this out. But like the secondary PSAPs, I think a better example is Denver. When you call Denver, I'm pretty sure, and you're like, hey, I need an ambulance, they'll transfer you to their medical dispatcher instead of taking it, whereas here you say I need an ambulance and we'll handle it all.
Yeah,
we won't transfer it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, unless we have to. So.
Right. Also, again, with car accidents, especially in a city like Loveland where it's fairly populated, if there's a car accident on Eisenhower, guarantee we're getting call after call after call about it, which is totally fine, because the more people that call in, the more information that we get, the more that's it.
Maybe someone's with the patient.
And someone's with the patient. We have witnesses. Like, we have something that, like, if officers need to contact you, if they need information, like, we have this information. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it. But there are times that are just kind of mind-blowing to us when, like, major incidents happen and we get one call. So just also keep in mind, like, the bystander effect. Like, just because you think somebody is calling in doesn't mean that they actually are. I would much rather have to deal with 911 after 911 than deal with not actually getting one at all because somebody thinks that someone called in and then next thing you know, someone was just found dead. Yeah, so just keep that in mind.
Definitely the same way.
Yeah.
If you think that you maybe should, just do it.
Just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, I say
I'm sure there's a lot of things that are bad that can happen. I'm so sorry. But just give us the information. We can do something with it. We'll get somebody there to go check it out. When we do get super backed up with 911 calls, which I may or may not make an episode about this. I'm not sure if I can make a full episode about it. Nope, I'm not going to. I'm going to talk about it right now. Okay,
because it could be like a teaser episode. Still talk about it now. You could delve into it.
Okay, we'll see what's going on. We have overflow 911s. So if we don't answer 911 by how many rings?
I think it's 20 seconds.
It's not even rings, it's seconds. Yeah. That's 20 seconds, guys. If we don't answer your call within 20 seconds, that's crazy. That's how many times that's not how many times. That's how long you should be washing your hands because of the coronavirus. Yes. So just remember that.
Don't call 911 to try it, though.
Also, don't.
Tell me.
Yeah, please don't, because we'll hopefully answer. But yeah, 20 seconds in our center. That's not how long you've been waiting because, like we said, it has to get to the towers and it has to get to us. It's 20 seconds that it has been at our phone lines ringing. If we don't answer within those 20 seconds, it goes to Larimer County. They are our backup 911 center. If somehow it's like there's a tornado ripping through town and we're just getting so many calls, God forbid. Anyways, so I don't know what happens if our overflow goes to Larimer and then they're overflowed. Like, does it go to Fort Collins then?
I don't know if
Lita, I'm sure, has like some kind of system set up that it keeps bouncing somewhere and here and there and everywhere.
Which is the Loveland Emergency Telephone Authority.
I'm just going to keep throwing acronyms around.
I love it.
And thank God Erica's here.
I think at our agency, we want to answer the 911s by the second ring. So if it rings twice, it should already have been picked up. So that might be where we get the rings things. But if it does ring 20 seconds, then it'll get transferred. Sometimes they answer it half a ring. Sometimes it's 2.5 rings because I'm finishing up on another 911 because we have a bunch of callers. But we're getting to it as fast as we can.
Right. I believe if I remember policy correctly, it's look at me, but in non-busy times, which I'm sure is like not business hours, like common business hours, like during the day, 911 should be answered by the first ring, and then during busy times, it's 2 rings.
You probably have read the policy most recently.
Probably.
So I will default to what Sammy says.
Also, might just be making that up because I like it. So, anything else you want to add about this, Erica?
I do.
Okay,
but perfect. It's not really related to jurisdiction. It's more about equipment again. And I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I will say that when you mentioned if you're not in Loveland, call our non-emergent line.
Right.
We do not. 911 physically does not have the capability to transfer across state lines. I can transfer you anywhere in the state. If you call in on a 911, even if you don't call in a 911, I can transfer you anywhere. But on a 911, in the whole state of Colorado, I can get you to Durango, Pueblo, anywhere else. I can't get you to Wyoming. I can't get you to California. I can give you their non-emergent lines. So you can call them and say, no, I can't hold. But 911 is only 50 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's wild.
The first 911 call was made in February of 1968. And so what that equipment, the old equipment is called legacy equipment. So a lot of agencies in the country have legacy equipment. So old, it's 1968 infrastructure. We are lucky because we have next gen 911 infrastructure. So we're able to text. We can take those VoIP phones. We can do phase 2s. That's next gen, quote unquote.
Right.
So we're super advanced. We're lucky because LETA, Larimer Emergency Telephone Authority, is very progressive in that, and they want to give us all of this equipment so we can stay current and at least stay current, if not try and be, at the forefront of all of 911. So until there's literally billions of dollars that could upgrade the legacy equipment to be next gen 911, we cannot transfer across state lines. So that is just something to keep in the back of your head if your dad in Indiana needs an ambulance.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Cool. I appreciate that. I think that's it.
That's it.
That's wild.
Woo!
Woo, that was easy. That would be so fun editing it, though. I want to keep those jokes in, but I don't know if we can.
Yeah.
Big bummer.
Darn it.
Blooper reel coming soon.
That's right.
Just kidding.
And you have to pay for that one, because...
Pay for our salaries like you're not doing so already. Oh, Lord. So, just want to reiterate, let's just be back to the basics. Just listen to your dispatcher. The first question is literally so important that we've covered it in 2 episodes alone, and I'm sure we're going to do 100 more, just about location. I could talk about it all day. And then the questions that we ask, they might not seem relevant, but we're asking it for a reason, especially if it's so quick into the call. Like we said with those pockets, if you are at that address, I need to know if you need police, medical, or fire, because, like I said, we're going to be your medical and fire, but not your police. So just keep that in mind, as well as all the other questions that we talked about in the first episode. Very hand movementy. I wish everyone could see this.
If only it was YouTube.
Fingers crossed. Let us know if you want YouTube, and we'll petition to see if we can be put on a screen.
Ooh.
A silver screen. Anyways, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like always. I'm eventually hopefully going to stop saying that, but I'm really desperate for attention. So please subscribe. I know, right? Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Loveland Emergency Communication Center. And next time we will have yet again another important topic that I don't think anyone at all understands, like everything else we've talked about. 911 hang-up calls. It's kind of wild to think about, and I cannot wait to talk about it because it's mind-blowing. In fact, we get a lot of them, and
we do.
I want to give you a lot of them.
Lot.
It's insane. And give you a behind-the-scenes look of what really happens when you hang up on us, which it's just not nice. I get my feelings hurt every time you hang up on me. So until then, know where you are, know your phone number, and tell us exactly what happened.